Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Ricky,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
80.
80. Awesome. We have had a great week.
A full week and weekend.
It's crazy. Tuesday, we got to meet with our couples community, and we had a wonderful time.
We did.
So, thank you, everyone that showed up. Please, again, it's free.
Come join us.
Come join us.
Get to know us. Get to know some other people. Let's do this marriage thing together.
That's right. And we learned so much from each of those couples and what they're going through, and we're grateful for them to be vulnerable and be able to show up and share their stories, and we'd love for you to join us. So we'll put a link in this podcast for you to go do that. And then Friday night,
we had Dr. Jennifer Finlayson-Fife. We hosted her here in Dallas. We actually got her to Texas for one of her date nights.
That was awesome. I've been talking about how we've had her on the podcast a couple times and how much she really has impacted our lives. Not only on professional lives here as Langford Life Coaching and what we're doing today, which is huge, right? She really has a mark on us and what we do, but also our personal lives and how she really was the catalyst to change our marriage.
Yep. She's been our mentor, and I've been in her women's groups and classes and taken all her courses. And so she's really been a really, really important part of our journey.
So I gave her that hug that I threatened.
Finally.
Got it.
And of course, her assistant, Christy, is absolutely delightful, and we
enjoyed being with her.
For
everyone that was there, we thank you for coming. We got to meet several of you that listened to the podcast, and that was fun too. So thank you so much.
Yes. And for those who weren't, we're going to try and get her back. There was actually a super long wait list, and she realized how many of us in Texas are waiting to meet her and hear her. So I think we're going to have her back again.
Yep.
And I had several people there ask about if we were going to do some type of a retreat. And
are you announcing something that I don't know about?
No, it's probably not going to be this year with all of the different offers that are coming out. However, it is coming.
Yeah, keep your eyes open. We do have some that are coming sooner than later, and we're really excited about them. So we'll be launching them soon. So keep your eyes open.
And then Saturday and Sunday,
our grandbaby came.
She's the cutest thing.
Oh my goodness. And the most important thing that happened in her whole entire life thus far.
She got to ride on her first horseback ride.
Her first horseback
and
with
she
Mamie.
Was all in on it. She
Not
was
scared
like,
at all.
let's go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. We were worried that she'd get wiggly. Didn't want to get down because she's walking now. So she's a toddler trying to get into things. She sat there and just enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. It was so fun. So sweet.
Papa's saving up for a pony, I think. Gonna have to have one. But yeah, we had a great time with them this weekend, and just a reminder of the blessing family is and how blessed we are to have them. Being grandparents is amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Highly suggested.
She has my whole heart.
Oh,
literally.
She loves her Mamie. I'll tell you this story. This is the greatest story ever. So I was playing with her at night, and she was getting a little tired, and she was getting a little grumpy. And her mom was sitting over on the chair. And so she was getting grumpy and squirrely in my hands. And so I put her on the ground, and she toddled off straight to her mom, our daughter. And she saw Mamie at the corner of her eye, and she did a full left-hand turn, and she ran straight to Mamie's arms. So she is definitely a little Mamie's girl. She has her wrapped around her little pinky, and they are the bestest of friends. So it's so much fun. I told Amy, I said, I love just watching you be Mamie. It's the best thing in the whole entire world.
She just melts into my arms, and I'm literally like, I don't know. I love that.
Now, the only downside to this whole thing is we had to say goodbye at 3 a.m. this morning. Well, Amy slept through that part. She got me to get up and take them to the airport at 3 a.m.
Remember, I'm the passenger princess. I'm not the Uber driver.
Yeah, I'm the Uber driver.
Squarely in your department.
So if I start talking silly or saying silly things, it's sleep deprivity.
Deprivation?
No, deprivity. That is keeping me from talking sanely. There was something really interesting that happened at Jennifer's get together for me.
Yeah.
And it's made me start thinking a lot. especially as we start putting some offers together and looking at ways to speak to the general public about how important marriages are.
Mhm.
And really, the topic is around the differences between men and women. And it's not always the same. We talk about high desire, low desire. We don't really like that one because it makes one sound better and someone
Like kind
sounds
of
worse.
superiors
Superior.
or
So
we don't really like that.
high desire people probably have a problem anyway to feel superior. So they don't want to perpetuate that problem. We like more of a spontaneous and responsive desire. And that's how we talk about these differences. And we've talked a lot about, hey, the differences are not the problem.
Mm-mm.
They're not the problem. In fact, they are the greatest thing about this relationship that you can have. But today we want to delve a little further into it because it was really highlighted as Jennifer asked specific questions and she cut the room in half for men and women when she asked these questions. And it really did surprise us. But before we do that, we need to take a journey back in time. I think we've talked about this on the podcast. If not, then this will be the first time, and we need to talk about it anyway, about this wonderful author named Emily Nagoski.
Mm-hmm.
She is a rock star around women's sexuality.
Sexuality.
Sexuality in general, but really this is for women. This book is for women. I mean, she's a canoe builder if you look at the front of
Yeah, the front of it is
of
a
the
canoe,
Yeah.
shaped as a, well,
Mhm.
it's not a canoe, it's actually a zipper purse, like
Okay.
a makeup bag.
Maybe a zipper purse. I always saw a
See the
canoe.
zipper?
I saw a canoe for sure. You're
Well,
right.
yes.
It's a vagina, so that's what's on the front
It's
cover.
a vulva.
Sorry, you're right. That's my ignorance right there. It's a vulva. And the story behind it that I've heard is she was teaching this class in sexuality and she started asking questions about women and their sexuality. And it was so like nothing there. People were so confused and there was so much confusion around it. She decided to write this book and she is probably the number one source on women's sexuality.
Yep. She's a women's sexologist, but she does couples too.
And the interesting part about it is if you look at history, the last several decades, maybe before that, maybe the last 100 years, century, I don't know. There was a time when women's sexuality was not so tampered down before we thought it was like taboo to talk about. But sexuality in general and the study of it and all the science behind it all came through the male's perspective, right? And
Yeah,
how it
Masters
doesn't-
and Johnson's research.
Yeah,
And
it
there's
was-
like 4 stages,
Yep.
which isn't wrong.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. We know a lot about men's sexuality.
It's just incomplete.
Right, because there is the other half of that sexuality thing, and that's women's sexuality. And again, we're going to generalize in this podcast. So sometimes we find women that tend towards more of the spontaneity or the spontaneous desire, and men that are more of the responsive desire. And it's been very interesting, actually. We've had those in our retreats. To have that perspective sitting in the women's group is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So it can happen, and there's a percentage of you. So we are sorry if we're not talking to you in that generality. But in general, it usually splits between the men and women.
So one of the things that Emily talks about in her book, Come As You Are, is the dual control model. And the dual control model was developed in the late 1990s by Eric Johnson and John Bancroft at the Kinsey Institute. And they were looking at what actually allows us to be aroused in our mind and in our bodies, like context wise and also like physiology wise. And they were realizing that there's 2 controls going on there. And so they call it the dual control model. And as Emily was working with many, many, many couples, this dual control model really became really foundational in her helping couples to understand sexuality and especially female sexuality. And so she takes this dual control model a little step further and talks about brakes and accelerators. Brakes are the context or ideas or things that move you farther away from emotional or physical arousal. When studying arousal, it's actually quite interesting that, they put like electrodes on males and females and showed them different excitable, erotic based pictures. And then they would have them click to say whether it was desirable to them or not. And the men's aligned 90%. So when their physiology said, I like this, their mind tended to agree. Women's was like 40 to 50%. And so their body could physically experience arousal, but then their mind and heart had to say, do I like this context?
Yeah.
And so they were far choosier and far pickier, which is actually really wise for women, given that being sexual has a very heavy impact on their bodies and
Yep.
their life.
9 months pregnancy, 18 years of taking care of a kid. Are you going to be around to help me out?
Yeah.
How's this going to go?
It's important that women have that discerning context. Anyway,
I
so
think one more for that though. So I think the one thing that shows is that we always talk about the men being, these sexual beings and that they have this capacity that's way greater than the women to understand sexuality and be able to have a part of their lives. But in all reality, the science tells you that the women's body is built to have a greater capacity for sexuality. They can have a greater sexual experience. They can orgasm for longer periods of times. They can have multiple orgasms more than men. They can get aroused faster, as this study showed you, right? Just from the pictures, a variety of way different pictures that they could physically get aroused from. But then the interesting paradox is that it takes their mind to really understand the context around it and whether that thing is really desirable for their mind to get engaged. And that shows that responsiveness that we're talking about, right? That shows why it takes them from being in a place and to be in this sexual context for a while before they go, oh, yeah, this is desirable. I want this.
yeah. So Emily Nagoski gives the analogy of the genital and the brains, and they're on a vacation together, and it's around evening time. They've had a full day and they're hungry. It's time to find a restaurant. And they're walking down the street trying to decide where to have dinner. And the genitals notice a fast food place on the street, and they say, "Hey, this is food. Let's eat here."
I'm hungry. Let's go.
And the brain says, I'm not really in for Thai food. That's too spicy and it won't give me indigestion. And so I'm going to pass on the Thai food. And then they come to another restaurant. The genitals say, here's a restaurant, like burgers, a nice burger
Let's
joint.
go. I'm ready.
It's food. Let's
hungry.
eat. And then the brain says, I'm looking at the reviews on Google and they say that they have rats in the kitchen and that the service is terrible. And, I can't eat there. It's not what I want. And so this conversation continues between the brains and the genitals. The genitals are saying this is sexual, and the brain, I like to say like the brain and the heart, are deciding if it is the type of sexuality or the context that is inviting. And so
we were saying the guys just think with their stomachs. Just
they go on and on, like maybe there's a pet food store. Oh, this is food. And then the brain's, no, we're not pets, right? Here's a museum. They have a cafe. No, not the type. And until they find a restaurant that not only is food, but is also desirable. And that's often what's happening for women. It's not only is this sexual, but is this context desirable? And so, sorry.
I think this is really important for both of us to understand, right? Because as a man, I had no idea this was going on and I couldn't figure it out. The only lens that I could see the sexuality through was my own lens. And so I thought either something's really wrong with Amy and she's broken, or that I am the most undesirable being in the whole entire world and she wants nothing to do with me, because I am just like so turned on and I want her and I could jump her bones at any time. And she's like, I don't know, I'm not quite ready. Like, I'm not sure I want to do this. It's not what's in it for me. And even worse, back in the day, it was, oh, this is only for you anyway, so I'm going to give you duty sex. And it was the worst thing ever. So I think it's important for us, for men, for us to understand what context they're in and what's going on in the mind of the women that we're with. As we go through this. It helps us calm down and understand that there's nothing broken with us or them. That's just the way that they are wired at that time. And then 2, it helps the women to understand what's going on. Like,
right.
Amy always tried to fix herself to look like me.
Right. And I couldn't be that 90% that you are. Like, I had to go through a context.
Right.
Is this context desirable?
No matter what you tried, it was like,
Right.
you couldn't just be there.
Yes, this is sexual. I can see that. But is this sexual context desirable for me?
But the great part about it, as we went through it, and we may be getting ahead of ourselves, but I want to say the great part about it is that Amy, as she discovered that there is this process, she didn't use this, hey, I can't get turned on because I need to be in the right context, to be an excuse to never get turned on. What she did is she discovered, like, okay, there's this, and we're going to talk about these accelerators and brakes. We promise we'll get to it. But she said, we're going to use this to help me understand how I can find desire. how I can use that desire that's make it so it's good for me. And then there's something that comes from it for me. And when that switched and I understood what was going on and I could get the hell out of the way and I could have my ego checked in so I didn't think there was something broken about me and allowed Amy to discover it, like, there's no problem. There's plenty of desire in there. She reminded me the other day as we got in an argument.
What, an argument?
Remember, we got in this disagreement the other day, and she's like, "Listen here, buddy. There's plenty of desire in there. So stop trying to be that way."
I don't remember this
You
argument.
don't remember?
No,
See
I'm like,
how
what are you
quickly
talking about?
we fixed it? But it was the other day. Yeah, it came back up, and she reminded me, like, listen, we had a whole podcast about it. It was when I was in Arizona.
So
Yeah.
yes.
And I guess that
Gotcha.
was another day, a few days ago. But it was that
Gotcha.
whole podcast we talked about, and that's
Gotcha.
what she said. Listen, dude, I have plenty of desire. Because I was trying to go down the rat hole again and saying, this doesn't make any sense because you say this, and so maybe you're just doing this for duty again. So I tried that. I tried to play that card again. Guys, don't do it because she smacked me upside the head with it. And I have plenty of desire. You're just being a dork. So
I said, calm down over there.
anyway, let's talk about and get into why I want to do it. But I think it's really important to set that stage that there is this difference. It doesn't give us an excuse to just check out. It doesn't give us an excuse to have duty sex. It doesn't give us an excuse to be whiny, complaining, I need this, neediness, which is disgusting too on the men's side.
Or punishing.
Or punishing, however we do it, right?
Yeah.
I got to have this. Some guy, Jennifer, is saying that if he does simmering, he's going to need pee bags because he's going to be sore in his groin for the rest of his life. I'm like, dude, you got problems. We can coach you out of that. But it doesn't give us excuse for any of that. It sets the stage for us to understand what's going on so we can take ownership of what's going on and decide how we're going to deal with it.
Yep. So in this dual control model, there are breaks. Breaks are the things that tune you off. They are the context that move you farther away from desirable sexuality. So often it is really important to look at these breaks and to see, well, what are they and what messages might be in them. And some of them are more of a simple thing to address, which is like maybe your feet get cold when you get naked, so there's socks. Maybe you're worried. Maybe you're worried about noise, and so there's music you can play or a sound machine you can put by the door, or maybe you can make a spot in a separate place that's more protected, like in your closet or something. So
or my favorite one is you have a bajillion things that you've been working on in your tabs, or because us dudes, we have one tab, we're working on it, right? We're focused. You have 500 of them open and you still can't think of anything but the 500 tabs you have open. You have to shut down one at a time.
Yeah. There's definitely the break of just having too many tabs open. And then there are other more contextual breaks, like not feeling emotionally connected or not really sure what smells,
feelings,
not really sure if you're safe or you're going to get pushed, or that it feels like a demand and it's not a place you can be free.
Yeah, am I doing this out of duty?
Yeah. And so really just crucial to look at those, and maybe it's about lights on or lights off or dimming them, or maybe you have a break of not feeling comfortable in your own body. You haven't yet accepted your body and really seen it for the masterpiece that it is. And so again, that's something you can look at. And accelerators are the things that move you closer to not only physical arousal, but also the mental and emotional arousal. And those are, I turn myself on when I feel free or accepted or safe or playful, or when I can see myself as the girlfriend instead of the wife. And so often what we see couples doing is trying to add more accelerator before you've addressed the brakes.
Push that gas down and the brake is fully on.
If the brake is fully on, you're not going anywhere.
You're causing damage.
Yeah. And so really important to take a look at those brakes. And often it's seen that women have more brakes than accelerators, especially at first. And that's an opportunity to get more clear about what are the meanings of intimacy between you and what is actually being expressed.
Now, time out here, okay?
Yep.
So this is really good information for all you guys to know about, right? That there are these breaks. And that if you don't take the brakes off, you're not going anywhere, because no matter how much you push on the gas, then it's not moving.
And the gas is often men saying, what about this
Yeah,
position?
let's
What
do
about
this
this
position.
position?
How
What
about
about
we
this?
do it 5
What
times
about
this
no?
week?
How about we do it here?
But it
Not gonna help.
also, so this is why I took a time out, because this is what I would do, or did probably. I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure I did. I'm like, oh, there's brakes. Well, we got to get the brakes off of Amy, and I am going to go fix it so she has no brakes. And like, I would do the dishes just to get laid, or I would mop the floor so that she would be happy, or I would spend all my time trying to get rid of the brakes. Now, all those things that I just talked about, there's nothing wrong with doing them. It's the intent behind them. So no matter how we do it, if our intent is still to get something because we're needy, not to really connect with our spouse, they're going to know it, right? And so you can't spend your
She's
whole
gonna
life.
know.
They're going to know.
They're gonna know.
They are going to know. And they can't spend your whole life trying to remove those brakes, because that's where I went. Every little thing that I learned was like, okay, I'm going to jump on that, because that's got to be the solution. So we're telling you this is we're giving you a broad picture of understanding how the sexuality works. So you can work together to find the context that it works in, and that I could fix my parts, that I could realize what was going on over there, and I could settle down and get rid of my neediness and stop grabbing and trying to extract something out of Amy, which was validation through sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
That was my job to go do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her job to go figure out, what is sexuality for me? Why would I want to do this? And
what are the contexts that are desirable?
yeah, and what
What are my
context is going to be
breaks?
desirable? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think some of my breaks too were still, this was many years ago, were still like, this is a place I have to perform and this is the place that I have to serve. And so it was an opportunity to look at those and really shift in them. Or maybe it was about time of day or having an unbalanced marriage in the partnership. There's a lot of opportunities in those breaks, not for you to like, I'm going to just get this all done, but to really grow and expand your marriage.
And let me tell you, it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. This is a process. And you can either fight the process, like I did for a very long time, point the finger at your spouse and say they need to be fixed, or figure out there's something that you need to learn to become a more complete and person that you want to be, closer to the integrity that you have, and work through that. And it's not going to happen overnight, but you'll start seeing steps towards us. So that's what I loved about talking about with Michael and Nikki the other day on the podcast, was they really explained this. She explained this. Hey, it was weird because at first I didn't know, and I don't know if I trusted him because I could see differences in him, but I didn't know if they were right, because he'd been manipulating me for years and years, 20, 25 years. And I'd seen these tactics before. And it was this small thing over and over again to see. And then these feelings started coming and the changes started happening. And I remember specifically going through this process, and like, I just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, when's Amy going to go back to being Amy, the old Amy? But what I didn't realize is that wasn't Amy anymore. And she was wondering, when is this going to show up as being a manipulation tactic again, right? And he's going to try to extract something out of me. And during this process, we still sometimes lean into those things. There's times when I get needy. We had a whole episode about it in Arizona, right? Mm-hmm. When I get to those things, because those are the easy things that I've been doing for 20 plus years. And you're going to keep doing those, but you can recognize, you can see them, you can go, okay, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. We're going to do something about that. And we can have that conversation with each other. So this just takes time to go do it.
Yep.
But what I want to say the last is that as it continues to grow, like, it just continues to get better. Like, when I thought it can't get any better, it just gets better and better and better and better and better.
And I think I would say a little different than better. I
Better.
think it gets richer, deeper, more meaningful, more connecting.
Oh, come on, that's so intellectual, like, big word for me. What is it? Better. It gets better.
So we're at this date night, and like I said, women are typically the ones that are choosier, and so typically brakes and accelerators, especially brakes, are taught in the context of women. That
Yes.
Men tend to have reportedly less brakes.
Yep.
So in this date night, Jennifer was asking the women first, what are your brakes? What are the things that turn you off? And the women were listing some that we talked about, and then she asked, okay, What are the things that turn you on? And they listed some of their accelerators, like we talked about. And then she asked the men, what are your breaks? What are the things that
Well,
turn
first of
you
all,
on?
she asked, what are the things that turn you on? And I was a smart ass that responded, I wake up in the morning. And I got scolded actually for that one because we all laughed. And then she like, okay, guys, what are the real answers? And the guys had zero other answers. Just come on. That's not giving you enough credit. You're not just turned on. And I guess she's right, maybe a little bit. But in general, that's what happens. I'm sorry. Like you wake up and you're
Yes,
turned on.
but but that's an important context difference because it's different in I need you just as a place to release or
Yeah.
I want to be with you because I choose you and you matter to me. And so she was trying to kind of code.
That's why she was saying it. And I knew it. I was just thought it was funny. And it was funny because everyone laughed. And that's what we said. So anyway, when it came around the other side about the breaks, I had to say something really good because I had to make up for my stupid ass comment. But the thing I was shocked about, there was a never ending list of breaks for guys.
For the men. Yeah.
Never ending. Like people
They were
raise their hand,
just
bam, bam,
firing
bam,
them
bam,
off.
bam, bam,
I don't
bam.
feel chosen. I feel like I'm just being serviced. I don't feel connected.
Or that I feel like it's never going to happen. And, there was,
Or I'm getting all the shutdowns, or, I'm sending the clues and I'm getting
I'm giving these
rejected.
bids and she's rejecting me over and over again. Like we could have gone on the rest of the night.
Yeah, the men had a lot to say about breaks.
So it really took me, that was my one, like, oh, like we learned some good stuff and we heard all the stuff we known already and it was really enjoyable. But my one, and takeaway from Amy and I have been talking about the last few days, and we wanted to share that with you, was maybe we have misunderstood this. And maybe there are just as many breaks for men. We just don't want to talk about it because it's too vulnerable. It's a subject that we're supposed to be the strong ones, that we're supposed to be in it. And, it gave me a different perspective. And it's led me to start thinking a lot about, especially as we're working to come up with these offers and how do we structure these offers in a way that's enticing to both the responsive and spontaneous desire person. And how do we help the males understand that this is what they're seeing and they need? And how do we help the females understand it? And I still will stick to this comment for the rest of my life until someone proves me that it's wrong. And it could happen. It could prove me wrong. But when I cut through all the bullshit that's around all this whole relationship thing, I have never come across a single individual, when you get rid of all that it doesn't come down to the desire to be chosen. They want to be chosen, whether they're male, they're female, they're low, they're high, they're responsive, they're spontaneous. It doesn't matter. In the end, they want to be chosen.
And the paradox in that is you can't make someone choose you.
Mm-mm.
And so really the only thing you have power over is your choosing. Can you actually step all in and choose? Can you be the one to lead out in your choosing? That's what actually creates. We talk about like cultivating the soil so that eros and different intimacy can grow. And if you're always waiting for your spouse to do it, or you're waiting for them to say or be a certain thing, you're going to be waiting forever, right? This is to take back your choice, agency, power, and say, if I want to be chosen, then I must choose.
And I think it does a couple things to you. It's the risk that is inherently involved in an intimate relationship.
It has to be there.
There has to be that risk because eros is not going to grow and thrive if you take and remove all the risks. So if you're trying to get rid of all the risks out of your intimate relationship, you won't have an intimate relationship.
Which I do see couples doing in control.
Yeah.
I need you to not wear perfume. I need you to not dress this way. I need you to not talk to a certain gender. You can't look too nice. You can't, that you start getting in these, I need you to be a certain way so that we can lower this risk.
Not even that, or it was me. Like, I need you to choose me. I need you to want to have sex with me. I need you to look like me because I'm needy. I need validation from you. So it's all those things when you're looking for someone else to give you that sense of worth, then you are out of that place of intimacy and not allowing intimacy to grow. I was nowhere close to intimacy. It's the thing I wanted and desired more than anything else. And I wasn't even in the ballpark. I was out in the parking lot running around lost. And I
And
couldn't
I
even
was
find the front
afraid to
door.
push my chips all in because you take the risk of being hurt. That
And
will always be there. You take the risk that this person won't choose you. You take the risk that you could be rejected. Yeah.
you do. It's
And
the
you
only way.
have to, because in order for there to be intimacy and to have choice, there has to be a risk. There has to be the option that they
It
might
may not
not
work.
choose you and they may not want what you want and they may not want the same marriage that you do.
So if you're spending any of your effort or time trying to manipulate your spouse to do that, to do the thing you really want and choose you, then you're pushing away, you're killing that Eros energy that's going to give you what you want.
Yep.
And like we said before, as we go about this and realizing that being chosen is really what you want, we see it in such different ways and from such different perspectives that even just certain taglines, we even tested, like, I asked the question today to our marketing partners who happened to be a married couple, and Amy happened to be on the same chat. What is undressing intimacy? The very name of this podcast. What does it mean? And then when they were honest, to me, ooh, yeah, that's exciting. Ooh, rah, 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 rah. And that's what I thought. And when they were honest, they came back and said, well, where I'm at now, it's not bad, but a few years ago, that would have been very intimidating.
My dysregulated servicing self would have been like, I don't want to undress intimacy.
Yeah. What's
I'm
he going to want
trying
from
to,
me now, right? I'm just
right?
trying to survive.
Why would I walk into that?
Right. But when we're talking about it in its context, it really is getting down to getting rid of all the bullshit like we talk about. We're just pushing away everything to get down to the rawness of what causes us to be intimate, or how can we be intimate? And that's what we're trying to say. Let's undress it. Let's get to the bottom of it instead of having all this cover and this inability to talk about it. And that's what we meant. But it's an example to me that we're so different, yet we're trying to get to the exact same place.
Uh-huh. And I really loved this one quote. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I took notes, of course, on Friday night because I'm a note taker.
Is that what you were scounging through your phone and not paying attention for?
It's my JFF notes because she talked about, and I'm going to mess this up just a little bit. We talk about we need the differences all the time. And that difference is what brings couples together. And she said, it's how you relate to those differences. Are you begrudging of them? Do you learn to love them? Do you make room for the other? Because that indicates that you are actually choosing. If you're choosing to love someone, you're making room for their differences, which is then allowing them also to be free to make a choice. If you are controlling someone, you're not allowing for their differences. You're not making room for them. If you're resenting them, you're not allowing for differences. You aren't allowing for who you are and who they are. And so really the lens that you have on your differences may even indicate how much you're willing to choose.
I think the
How much
crazy,
risk you're willing to tolerate.
I think the crazy thing about all of that, if I'm to really be honest about it, is once I decided I want to choose out of my own personal integrity, it's all about the personal integrity. And what do I respect in me? Not what Amy respects in me, not what some church figure respects in me, not what God himself respects in me, not what my parents respect in me, but what do I respect about myself and how do I want to show up and be?
Mm-hmm.
When I finally got to that core and said, I want to show up in this way no matter what, I don't do it all the time, but it's easy to get back to it and to remind myself. Amy can remind me, hey, that doesn't sound quite right. What's going on there? And I can recheck in myself. What is my core? What do I think is good about and not good about? And where is my personal integrity? When you can do that and you can get out of the way and you can let this Eros grow and give it this place to grow, I think even though we're so different, we have gotten way more alike in some ways too. Like Amy's desire has been able to cultivate and the sexual experience has become more integrated between the two of us. I learned how to calm down and be able to enjoy myself in just this connective place, how to be more emotional. So if you're looking at it and just straight up, and if you go to ask any marketing person, you're going to connect with the women by talking about emotional safety and connection, that context that we talked about. We talked about at the beginning of this podcast, why there's science behind it. If you're going to talk to the men, you're going to talk about the physical sexuality and how you're going to get more of that. And that's connective. Again, it gets down to the very bottom of both of them want to be chosen. But when you can have your own integrity, get out of the way, you can learn to cultivate this intimate sexual relationship in both ways.
And when you think about it, our differences become the mysteries, the attractions. Because you are so different than me, it actually creates like this unknown. And that unknown is
Which
where
used to scare the hell out of you.
it used to, yes. But that unknown is where the eros and the desire, I wanted it to be known so that
No risk. No.
I wouldn't have risk. I didn't really have a risk tolerance yet. And yet eros asks you to take that scary step, like to commit, to be willing to tolerate risk. And in our differences, those differences actually become very compelling for desire. They become the ground in which our depth forms. And Jennifer also said this Friday night. She said, we don't need a new spouse. We need a new way of seeing them, a new way of seeing their differences and seeing how compelling it is that they are absolutely opposite than us.
Mm-hmm.
And in that oppositeness, that creates so much room for us to know one another, to explore one another, to have this completely different understanding of how this person who lives life close to you, but also very different from you, that becomes compelling and endless depth you can draw upon. Like we talk about horizontal intimacy and vertical intimacy. The vertical intimacy is the depth of knowing. And there's so much depth and complexity in each human being that the differences in there is what really creates unending possibilities for intimacy.
Yep. And I'm sure some people are out there screaming, okay, Amy and Greg, I know this sounds great. Never going to happen. How do we practically get there? And we're going to tell you the secret to the sauce. And we can tell you this because it's easy to hear and understand, but hard to become really proficient at this. And we want everyone to become proficient at this. There's two major rituals you need to adopt in your life this very moment to be able to be successful here. And the first one is what taught me to regulate myself emotionally so that I could open up and have that emotional connection that Amy was dying to have. She wanted to know me. She wanted to know who I honestly was and to know
you
what's
were
going on.
walled off and blocked, and I will just fix you and be, you know.
I have no problems here. I was the duck gliding across the water with my feet going nuts underneath it, right? But I didn't want anyone to know. And that ritual is our daily emotional check-in. We've probably mentioned it 100 times. I'm going to go ask AI how many times we mentioned it. So I have an exact number, but there's going to be a lot. And it's so important.
And if you're doing it, it's so important that it's not surface and shallow.
Nope.
That it is actually expressing
Becomes a ritual.
A ritual that allows you to see each other's depths, the differences of your experiences, the mystery in each other. Those are really important.
And it's not something I just check off my daily list at all. It's something I look forward to being with Amy and understanding and being able to share and express my own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's been crazy. I've had things happen to me recently that have happened in the past that I did not process my emotions through.
I've been really proud of you.
It's these last couple ones
George
have been hard.
Has been pretty active lately, and you are doing such a good job.
It sucks though.
Talking with him.
It sucks. But what I've realized is that when I didn't address my emotions and I pushed them down, that's when I overate. That's when I looked at pornography. That's when
you would be pursuing me with the vengeance.
Begging Amy to solve the problem by getting laid. All those things I don't want. And so really that emotional check-in is what taught me that when I have emotions and that I can process through them and I can be a big boy and put my big boy pants on to do that. And Amy has emotions and I'm curious to what they are. And guess what? I can process through my own emotions as she shares hers. And it's okay that she has a complete different perspective and that she has different emotions than me, that she saw something completely different than I did. Mm-hmm. I don't have to stand up and protect myself and argue with her. And it's made all the difference in the world.
And I think it's allowed me to really know you. Yeah. When women talk about safety, it's not that their husbands are unsafe. I know that's really hard for husbands.
When you say that, you just make me so mad. I'm like, when have I ever done anything to make you feel unsafe? You're
and
like, that's not what it means. I'm like, that's what you just said.
I know. It's the language that all women use just sort of inherently. And the safety that we're referring to is emotional safety. Is it safe for me to be known and to know you?
Are you going to be in it for the long haul?
Are you going to be here? Are you actually here for?
Because you're curious and love me.
Yeah.
And
are willing to invest, be vulnerable, show up.
Show that you do. And
be there with presence, not just transactional. I give you this, you give me that.
But it's natural because that's what we were taught, that we couldn't do that because we were here to protect you and that you couldn't handle it. So there's a myriad of reasons, and we talk about those a lot. And we don't have time to go into tonight. But I just want to say that ritual has changed our lives.
Yep.
If you listen to Michael and Nikki's episode, they said the exact same thing, and we did not prompt them.
No.
We had no prompts or talking before. That was natural. They just said, this has been one of the most important things in our lives. And hundreds of couples, we have hundreds of couples saying that.
Okay. And it's hard to do all at once. So this daily little practice, it's like
Building
your daily emotional gym work. That helps you know and understand yours, and also be able to know and understand your spouses, which there's risk in knowing yours and knowing theirs. And so you get a little bit better at tolerating this risk.
Yeah, it takes some time to do it, and we talk about. So start that today.
Yesterday.
Start it yesterday. If you're not doing it, go do it. Please go do it. Please, I beg all my clients to go do it. And there's some of them that just won't, and they usually are the ones that don't progress. So go do it. Now, the second thing I would say, do after you get pretty good at the first thing.
Yeah, if you introduce it too fast,
if you introduce it too soon, you don't have a foundation. So once you get that emotional foundation and you can trust each other emotionally and you're open with each other, and guys, I know the first thing you think is, I'm never going to get laid again. And maybe you're not, but for me and for a lot of hundreds of other guys I've talked about, this has worked out. So trust it. Just try it. Once you get that foundation, the second ritual that we introduce is simmering. Mm-hmm. And it's the same kind of ritual from the emotional side, on the physical side.
Right.
And we've talked about the differences, the way that we come about this and see this.
Or not sizzling.
Not smoldering.
Our clients keep making up all these different fun names.
That's too hot. We're trying to keep it at a low heat level.
Slow burn. This is why it's a simmer.
But what it teaches you is how to physically connect without having an outcome.
Yes, without demands. Because so much touch and affection and even sexuality becomes tied to outcomes. And that blocks Eros, because Eros has to be free. It has to be flexible. It has to be moving and in the moment. And so when you start giving it all these jobs and giving it outcomes, you actually are limiting the amount of eroticism and desire that can be present.
And Jennifer introduced this topic to our folks, and there was a lot of disgruntled men sitting in that room. But what I couldn't tell them, because I wasn't up in front of the class, but I wanted to tell them was, listen, bro, first, go get emotionally connected. Go handle that. 2, it's just important for you in this ritual and practice is to learn about your own sexuality, to learn about why does it drive you in certain ways? Why is it controlling you? Why do you think you have to have it? Why do you think you have to have an outcome? Why do you think you have an orgasm? And in the end, if you're doing the simmering right and you get aroused and it gets uncomfortable, you know how to take care of it. You're big boys. You've been figuring that out since you were 12 years old, okay? I know. You couldn't tell anyone because it was wrong, but we all know amongst ourselves you've been figured out. So there's so much for us to learn in this simmering on how we can be physically connected and attractive and not put an outcome. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you stop putting outcomes on this physical connection, it is my favorite part of every morning. And it's Amy's favorite part. Remember, we talked about I used to roll over and grab her boob and she hated me for it.
I got so mad.
She was so mad.
Irritated.
And I'm like, what?
Because it was grabby and it was like starting with the demand first thing in the day. And I did not appreciate that. I'm telling you,
I roll up every morning and I grab Amy's boob. That's what I do. And she welcomes it. And I'm not saying that's what it has to look like for you. And I'm not saying wives, you have to go welcome it. I'm not saying that Amy all of a sudden one day hated it and the next day she welcomed it. It took this process of touching without outcome. She knows when I roll over and hold her.
We had to change the meanings.
The meaning behind it.
The meanings are the context that we're referring to.
That is the context. So she feels safe to be in that moment and to enjoy that touch because I'm not going to get pouty and needy.
Or that touch doesn't mean I placed a demand and an expectation on you. A touch is just an expression of your love and
Wives can't believe
affection.
it.
And
They cannot believe it. Like, no way. There's no way he's touching me like that and doesn't want to get laid. We've proven over years and years and years that's how it was. And I have a couple right now that he is finally seeing, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing. And yes, I've been trying to extract and I've been needy and I've changed. And it's hard for his wife. She goes, wait, these are the same patterns. These are the same patterns I saw. Nikki talked about this in the podcast. These are the same things I saw, but something's different. And it takes some time. So,
right, they're walking down the restaurant row and looking, you got
yeah.
your genitals in your brain, and they're like, this is food, but is it desirable?
And every time I teach this in a group, we're on a group call, the women are like jumping up and down and think that life is the best thing. And the men think they're never going to get laid. You can see it in their face. They're like, I'm scared to death.
And actually, quite the opposite happens, as is like all things in relationships. They're always just one paradox after another. The more you remove demands, the more there's actual freedom to enjoy. And the affection, the flirting, the physicality, the expressions, they start to blossom and open up. And then obviously, as they're blossoming, they're going to lead to more replenishing sexual encounters. But
guys, mind blowing.
okay, easy.
I know that you've been fantasizing about these things for your whole life and desiring things. Get the hell out of the way. Let eroticism do its job. I love the way that Amy's been teaching this lately. It's the fire that needs to be started. And when you put that little fire there and you put your kindling there and you get a little spark and it starts to light, do not jump on it and smother it. Do not blow on it so hard you blow it out, because that's what we do. And so it takes time to build this, But I'm just saying, you'll have a flame. Eventually, I promise.
The flame will burn.
It's not, and like I said, I've been lucky enough to have this flame happen, and then I mess it up and smother it, and I'll have to go back and fix it again. But I can fix it now, and that's great. But it's not just me. I've seen hundreds of couples happen to them. I've seen the different phases and where they get to, and I've seen the guy's light come on and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this to my wife, and I don't ever want to do it again. And they usually go over to toxic independent because they're never going to touch her again because they're so upset about what they've done, and we have to get them back. And then they start changing, and the wife goes, I don't know if I trust that. I don't know what's going on. It's the same pattern over and over again. But the great thing, it's the same pattern over and over again, so we know how this kind of plays out. And it just makes for this enriching and wonderful relationship that you've always wanted to be chosen, and it allows you to choose each other.
Right. And if you want to be chosen, you have to take the risk.
Yep.
And choose.
And we are so grateful that we've had mentors and people that help us get there. We spent a lot of time in pain and really bad at this, really bad.
You know that thing, like if you do the same thing over and over but expect a different result? Yeah, insanity. Yeah. We were literally in that insanity loop.
Over and over and over.
And it was like,
again.
we must not have tried hard enough. Let's try harder. And, it would just be more suffering and more pain.
And it didn't come right out first. We put Jennifer in timeout because we used her as weapons of war to go after each other.
See how right I am and how wrong
exactly.
you are?
Jennifer said this, and that means that you need to change because you're broken.
But that was, again, us not being willing to tolerate the difference in each other. And so when we were talking and having these struggles, it was, I need you to agree with me so that I can be okay.
Right.
Which is the opposite of intimacy and the opposite of choosing.
Absolutely. And so that's why I want y'all to know that we would love to help you. Even though we just told you the 2 secrets to success, and the reason why I could tell you is we know there's so many pitfalls that are involved. And when you have someone outside of you being able to look and say, hey, listen, bro, the client I'm thinking of, I was like, you're almost there. I know it's so frustrating, but let me ask you some questions about how this is looking to her. And he hates me asking him questions. He's like, would you stop asking me questions? I'm like, nope. And I keep asking him questions because we can help you get through those spots where you get stuck. And we can help you know what's on the other side of that because we've been able to coach so many people through this. We've been able to see in our own lives and what it does for us. And we want so badly to help each one of you. We're so grateful that you listen to this podcast because that's just amazing. But what are you doing? Go click on the consult button.
I was like, where are you going?
Why are you waiting? I don't get it. Like, nothing. It's free. 45 minutes with Amy because she's the best. And with me if you want to. sign up for her and then sign up for me. I don't care. We want to be part of your life. It's such a blessing for us to do this, to be part of your life. So please go sign up for that consult. And until next time,
Keep undressing your intimacy.
bye-bye.